Yo, press record. What's up? You're listening to Zero to X. My name is Daniel, and today with me, as always, what's
Hey
up?
guys,
What's
it's
up?
Amara.
What's up, my guy?
Very well, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm always saying I'm very well. Let me try something else.
LMAO.
But yeah, I am very well. So,
I
hey,
mean,
I'm
like,
doing great.
if that is what it is, then it is.
Yeah.
I'm excited about today's topic. We've talked about it so many times.
We have.
We've referenced it in some way, form, or shape.
We have.
And I typically say it like I like to think I'm more self-aware than most. So guys, we're talking about self-awareness today.
Yeah.
Talking about self-awareness today. Self-awareness to me means caring enough to know what's going on with you and how that leads to you making decisions that could better you or alleviate certain negative situations. Like say that's a whole word salad. It's an entire word salad, yeah. But like the point of it is because when we mention concepts like self-awareness, people tend to think, oh, it's this it's mystic, it's almost vague, it's this super skill. So I'm just trying to say no, it's just caring enough to slow down to see what's going on with this about myself.
He's usually answering questions like, what?
Exactly.
Why especially?
About yourself.
Yes. So why am I doing this? What is this about?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe how would usually tie into improvement plans,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, it's usually those three. I don't think there's a when and where usually. But yeah.
The point is intentionality and thoughtfulness and just slowing down, caring enough to slow down to say, okay, what's going on here? And then how that will now translate to decisions you need or have to make in your life.
Yeah.
That's what self-awareness is.
Yeah, like sometimes I replay certain moments in my life, right? Something just happened, for example, and I'm replaying it. I'm like, but why did I do that? Do you get? That's what usually what self-awareness looks like. Amara, this person said so. Why did you react this way? Do you get? Or Amara, you said you do A, B, C, and D. You did E, F, G, H. I'm just giving examples.
Yeah.
Why did you do E, F, G, H? How did you break a promise to yourself, for example? Do you get? What led to that? Do you get? Those are the kinds of questions. And the thing is, you don't get to that point where you can answer the questions immediately.
Agreed.
Like, we don't just wake up and are able to answer all the questions that we ask ourselves.
Agreed.
Right? But I am a very strong advocate, and I think it is one of the principles by which I guide myself with regards to self-awareness. That if you seek,
you will find. I agreed. I was about to mention the quote that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But it's like in this case, when the questions are there, the answers will come.
Yes.
But it's just knowing to ask these questions in the right way. And yeah, like there's a whole lot of ways to talk or to think about self-awareness. There was a Jordan Peterson interview. It was with Stephen Barley.
That same one.
Yeah, the same one with Stephen Barley. I think that's the only one they've done.
Okay.
Stephen Barley is the host of a podcast. Amara and I are big fans of Diary of a CEO.
Diary of a CEO.
So Jordan Peterson was this is not verbatim, but the context, the sum and substance of it is like, let's say there's something you drastically want to change in your life. One way to build self-awareness is to ask yourself a question and say, what one thing am I not doing that if I do now would significantly improve the particular situation here?
I get that.
What's that one thing that I can do? You said that you're going to be lying in your bed one day in the night in the dark. And if you ask yourself that question and quiet yourself.
Just for an hour or so. Just let it sit.
If you even say an hour, people will not be saying that.
People will not be saying, I did not get anything in 1 hour. Just stay there until you get something.
Stay there, like just start 5 minutes.
Stay there.
I promise you might almost be forced to go and pick up pen and paper. I promise you.
Yeah.
You might almost be forced to, because it's that thing where, again, it's slowing down enough, caring enough.
Yeah. That thing Benjamin said about rushing your food.
Yeah.
Benjamin is a friend of ours, guys. About a lot of people always rushing their food and how sometimes if you just slow down,
You can enjoy the flavors a whole lot more and feel more satisfied with less. Yeah.
It's the same with the thing you're saying about self-awareness.
And guys, self-awareness and you've been hearing Daniel and Amara shout self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. Self-awareness is sacred ground, though. The results that come from because you will be forced, if you're courageous enough, and I hope you are. I hope you find the strength and courage. If you're courageous enough to go through the answers, you might find things that you will not like.
Yeah.
You might discover truths that maybe you've even unconsciously known about yourself and other people don't know, and they think you're something else, and you are there at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night and you know that these people have been being deceived.
Yeah.
Not necessarily by any fault of yours, but you didn't help to correct the narrative.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You might be forced to face certain realities that can be very hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So self-awareness and the results that come from this sacred grounds.
I love
tread lightly.
I love where this is going because it's a good way to segue into the steps we think one can take into becoming self-aware.
Into becoming more self-aware, absolutely. We want this to be as practical, like something you can try tonight or immediately after you finish listening to this podcast.
Or even while listening.
Or even while listening to this podcast. We want you to be able to try this out and see and have a revolutionary experience. So even if it's not revolutionary, an evolutionary experience. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Daniel on the beat.
Stop it!
Love it.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So the point is about if you care about growth, self-awareness is how you measure yourself, to be fair. And like it's how we say what doesn't measure, what we don't measure doesn't grow. That's it. So self-awareness is sacred grounds.
Yeah.
It's sacred grounds. So Amara, what do you think people can do practically? Steps 1, 2, 3, if those things exist. What do you think that makeup looks like?
I'll use my own personal experience
Go for it.
To share. And I think the first step is in line with what you've been talking about, but just to give it a lot more substance, the first step would be reflection. And reflection in the sense that you need to be able to understand yourself first. Right? So the way to go about this
is sacred grounds, my guy. This is sacred grounds.
The way to go about this, or at least one way to go about this, and which was the way that I used growing up, was you see those books that you read. For those of you who actually read books. You see those books that you read.
I think I know where you're going with this.
You see those books that you read. You read a self-help book, you read a personal development book, you read a finance book, e.g. the psychology of money, one thing, and they leave questions for you at the end.
I knew it. I just knew
but you just said no. Me, this question are too much. I cannot answer this question. I've got to what he was saying.
I just knew it.
I've got what the author was saying. On to the next one. You see, guys.
Those action exercises at the end of each chapter of those books
that's
that
where
you read.
That's where the reflection and assessment, self-assessment really begins. So I remember when I started my journey into personal finance, learning about personal finance. I was in year 3. And I remember paying for a course.
Yeah.
Right. And in the course, the person who was teaching us the course started talking about limiting beliefs, right? And the person was sharing how a lot of us don't even realize that the homes in which we grew up contained a lot of limiting beliefs. And the common one that a lot of us have heard and probably overlooked.
Oh my God, does money grow on trees?
Does money grow on trees? Money does not grow on trees. There's no money. Dude, I can't tell you how much I hate hearing there is no money right now.
Bro, it irritates me.
Do you know why? Do you know why I hate it? Because your brain, I think I said this in 1 or 2 episodes ago, that your brain will shift from thinking about solutions to accepting reality. So instead of you to say, how can we find a way around this? You went and said, there's no money. When you say there's no money, your brain shuts down. It is how human beings are wired, period. There's no argument. Do you get? If for any reason you are trying to find a way around it, that means somewhere in your subconscious you were actually thinking how.
Yeah.
Do you get? But for the person who had no form of thinking about how can we go about this, that person just said there is no money, and trust me, that's the end. Do you get? So a lot of the time you find out what separates the person who makes headway, and that this is a bit of a digression, that the person who makes headway from the person who accepts their situation is simply shifting the question you're asking yourself. Do you get? So you go from making the statement of fact to asking, how can I change this reality on ground?
Got you. That's really powerful.
How can we solve this? How can we do this? Do you get? And then if the solution says we need 1 year to plan so and so, that is better than somebody who has accepted reality that there is no money. I'm probably going to be stuck in that for years.
Got you.
Do you get me? So back to the point about how these limiting beliefs, a lot of the time, are things that we are not even aware of. It's one of the reasons I want to read The Psychology of Money. I've heard a lot of people say that they read the book and like it helped them to really see how they had some beliefs that were not so good about money, right? I've not read the book yet because my books for the year are full. but yes, I might find some time to go through it. And so with regard to reflection, those self-assessments are very important.
Great place to start.
A very wonderful place to start. I remember doing them. Dude, I failed a lot of them. Like when I say failed, these things don't have, these assessments don't usually have right and wrong, right? Yeah. But it is in your ability to answer the question. So he left you with a series of questions at the end of the book, or he gave you a full workbook on his website to download. And you downloaded the workbook and it's like 20 pages long, and you're like, 20 pages? What exactly am I answering? Do you get? Again, I don't think people really, I'm going to keep saying it till we keep reciting it with Amara. Your beliefs, your thoughts influence your speech.
Absolutely.
I mean, those same thoughts and that speech then influence your actions.
100%.
Right? So when he tells you, do so and so and so and so and so, and you're like, oh, God, 20 pages. I'm probably not gonna get through it, right? And that was the thing with me in those times. Like, I would probably do 5 out of 10, 20 pages and call it quits just because I'm asking myself the question, I don't even know what the answers are. What are your top 10 values, for example? And then he lists like 200 values. I'm not kidding. And then the assessment listed 200 values, and you're like, top 10 values. And then you start trying to find, okay, what do I really value? Oh, Amara values punctuality. Okay, that's one. Okay, top 1 out of 10. Okay, that's progress. Maybe today I'm only able to figure out 4 or 5. Tomorrow I come back to it. Or next month I come back to it. Whatever the case is. Just make sure that you decide within yourself. If you're given an assessment, do it. It was assessments that really helped me on my journey to becoming self-aware. When I was in ISEC, it was the same thing. We were doing tons of assessments, not just because of self-awareness, but because self-awareness is one of ISEC's core values. Yeah. And so I found myself doing assessments all the time. I'll probably do a few pages out of the entire assessment and not know the answers to the rest, as usual, as always. But those things add up over time, right? So you've done this book, you've done this assessment, this one, right? And then you find that, oh yeah, I'm beginning to understand myself better and how I relate with money better. Oh, I find that when I am stressed, I open Jumia.com or Amazon.com, and that helps me relieve myself of stress. That's not Amara, but that could be somebody else. Do you get me? Or I find that when do you get it is those things. You find out those things from the assessments.
From the assessments, yeah.
Do you get? 100%. Oh yeah, this is why I do this. Oh, okay. And then when you have a better holistic picture of who Amara is, then you can make decisions going on in future that favor the kind of growth you want to see for yourself.
Got you.
So step 1, self-assessment.
Absolutely.
You want to assess. The next thing is acceptance. Okay, you found out that this is who you are.
This is why it's
accept it first.
This is why it's sacred ground.
Accept it first.
You will find answers you do not like.
You find answers, and you know they always say sometimes. Well, not they, but some people always say, like you speak with people who are a lot older and wiser sometimes, and they tell you that you know that parent or that authority figure in your life that you may not necessarily like some things about them. Like if you're not careful, you pick up those things that you don't like.
Bro.
And
it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. That thing that you hate so much, you just grow up into it.
If you don't
find out.
If you don't grow up into it, you grow up into a version of it.
Yeah.
So it is self-assessment that helps you to see that shit, I became this. Do you get?
So you have to accept you will never do as a parent.
Exactly. So you need to accept that this is who I am right now. This doesn't need to be who I'm going to be, right? I'm going to give my future self a chance, right? And I'm going to start working to improve. But if you don't assess, then you don't know what to change. So you start with self-assessment, reflection, and then you accept there's direction, there's navigation. Yeah. You know where you're headed, right? Then the next thing is, okay, how can I now begin to move in that direction? What are the steps that I can take? So that's usually how self-awareness starts. Assessment, then acceptance. Then from acceptance, we can venture into the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, like I really like how practical and in-depth that is. So the point is, like the takeaway from this is just figuring out the right questions to ask. So yes. What advice would we have for the people? Although we've warned you people, we've told you people before, read books.
Read books,
but for somebody
who has not read yet.
Read books.
Who doesn't read? Do I have advice for you? Okay, let me think.
I think like the starting point for that is you kind of need to know the area that you think you want to ask yourself questions around. So
that's a very good starting point. Generally, as humans, there's I think 5 or 6 major areas in most of our lives. Yeah. First one usually being family, right? Then faith, then finances, right? Then finances is different from business or career, right? So there's business / career, right? Then there's finances as well. Then there's personal development. So by the time you decide on the area of your life that you want to work on, then the next thing would be to find people, who look like they have their lives together in that area. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go and find some mentor, somebody far away, right? You can find, oh, Daniel has his family stuff on lock. That's nice. Daniel, how do you do it? Right? That's a good way to start. How do you do it? You hear from another person's POV, right? And it makes you begin to compare, right? And comparison in this situation is good, right? Because as you begin to compare, you begin to see places where you could do better or tone down. Do you get? So it's with all of that, then you have a sense of a roadmap for how to begin to ask yourself questions, right? If so and so is doing this and it's working for them, what can I do? Yeah, or why do I do this? Again, it is the whys and the whats.
The whys and the whats.
Yes, and the hows.
The whys and the whats are questions. The hows give you solutions. So it's like if you ask each of these things 5 times on each particular point. So like a scenario could be, okay, you're feeling bad. Why am I feeling bad?
Dude, a lot of people feel bad without thinking about
why they're feeling bad. True.
You just sit there.
And I'm like, sleep further and further into it.
You keep sleeping.
In that case, there might have been instances where it was very unnecessary to sleep further.
Yeah.
If you had a little more self-awareness, you could have
cut yourself and pulled yourself out.
Exactly.
Amara, come out of this, man.
You give yourself like the proverbial kick in the butt, and you'd get going. And then again, if you ask yourself why 5 times,
why am I feeling this way?
If you ask yourself what 5 times, you would most likely get to a very fundamental answer that, again, I would always say this: self-awareness and everything that comes with it is sacred ground, and it is totally fine if you feel like you can't navigate this by yourself. It's totally fine. Find a trusted counselor, a therapist, a leader, an accountability partner, someone that you feel or you trust enough or is trained well enough to go on this journey with you. Whatever it is that you can to make sure you are growing and changing, positive change management. Make sure you're doing those things. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think it's important to say as well that takes time.
It takes time. Be gracious with yourself.
It takes. I remember.
Be gracious with yourself.
I remember a book I read. The guy said he wanted us to conduct an assessment on our beliefs about ourselves. It was a book relating to my area of work, right? He wanted us to conduct an assessment about our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about the markets, majorly those two things. And he said,
what?
That you might spend up to 6 months completing this thing. And I was like, 6 months. He went on to say in the book that a lot of people he had coached usually spent around that time frame, because it's an ongoing conversation with yourself. You get, it's not something you just have once and call it quits. That's what I said at the beginning of this podcast, that if you seek, no matter how long it takes, if you continue to seek, you will find. It is one principle that governs my entire life. The moment I say, I don't know how to do this, but I want to find out how, the moment I say, I want to figure out something that I need, or something that I need to get any area about my life, and I decide that I'm going to start looking for answers. Whether answers in my head or answers out in the world. Wherever those answers are, they will come eventually. I have seen it work time and time again. So this is why I say it is very important that you need to be patient with yourself.
Give yourself grace.
Extend grace to yourself.
Lots of grace, a generous
Extend
amount of
grace to yourself. And that's the problem with wanting to compare ourselves with other people, because then you see this person who has all their stuff together, and then you begin to ask yourself, am I growing? But remember, if you assess, you can track growth. So when you feel like you're not growing, go back to your assessment board and look at it. This is where I used to be. This is where I am now.
That's such a powerful point.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful point.
Yeah.
Again, guys, the point of all of these things is net positive growth.
Yes.
That's the point of all of these things that we're saying, talking about self-awareness, talking about like the steps that you can take, and talking about how you manage positive change and effect in it. Like, the point is that you grow, that you get better, that you turn an adverse situation to a pleasant situation. That's what it's about. This is something self-awareness can help you do, which is why it's something we recommend that you do. Again, the things that you might be asked to do can seem a little laborious.
They can seem insurmountable.
Yes.
Sometimes.
But again, we'll ask you, do you want to grow?
Do you want to grow?
Do you want to succeed?
Do you want to get better?
You want to get better. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. And again, please, I don't know why I feel like I'm reiterating this over and over again, but self-awareness and everything that comes with it takes a particular kind of courage and strength.
Yeah.
It's holy ground. You might see things there about yourself that you might not like, and you come to them with, okay, this sucks, okay, this is shit, or okay, I'm shit, and I need to get better.
Dude, I had one recently, man. I can't even share. I can't be that vulnerable. But I had one recently, and I was just like, oh, damn, Amara. Damn. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I think it's important to say, just as a way to close this, that if you allow yourself to grow in self-awareness, right? And if you allow yourself to be somebody who is willing to improve, who is willing to take correction and grow, you will find that if you get into a romantic relationship, your chances of it working are higher. If the other person shares these traits as well, don't go and date somebody who is moving mad. Yeah, I think it's important to put it out there that these things help you in every area of your life. That's why I wanted to make the romantic relationship.
They help everywhere.
And then it helps you with dealing with siblings, with dealing with children. Like you're in control, and you feel so good. Like
you see it everywhere.
Yeah, you see it everywhere. It feels good.
It's an incredible skill to develop. And the more you do, the more you find out it's easier to do. You're even doing it subconsciously.
Yes.
You're even able to hold yourself back, like, not today.
Not today.
Not now.
Yeah.
Not even tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So the more you do it, the easier it gets. You just learn to yourself about, okay, this is how I'm feeling, and this is why I'm feeling this way. Do you understand? Like, feelings are an easy way to figure out what's going on with you. You can ask yourself the questions, figure out what mental stage you are in. It'll help. It's a decent starting point.
It will.
Guys, we pray that you have the strength and the courage to face the things you will need to face in the discovery of self-awareness,
Yes.
especially if it is not something that you are used to doing. People can avoid.
Yeah.
And they know they are avoiding. They drown themselves in all sorts of vices or habits.
Vices, habits, and excuses.
Just face it head on. I know it's a very courageous thing to do.
It is.
And we're rooting for you. Like,
always.
That thing is no bigger than you. It's not
always.
It's not insurmountable. We are rooting for you. You will figure it out and you will win. You will win.
Yes.
I think we can call it here. What do you think?
Yeah, we can.
Let's call it. Thanks, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Boys and girls.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Take care, guys.